Hello, my dear students. Welcome to Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. I'm here to teach an interesting topic in government, which you will love and find it interesting.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
The interesting topic I have for you today is colonial administration. Before I proceed, I want to state the learning objective. At the end of the lesson, students will be able to define colonialism, discuss colonial administration in West Africa, define indirect rule, state reasons for the introduction of indirect rule, success and failure of indirect rule system. What is colonialism? Colonialism is defined as an imposition of a more developed culture over a less developed one, backed up by expansionist and economy adventurism. It is the principle for which powerful country rule over a less one and establish its own trade and cultural there. It means when a powerful country, a very powerful country, rule over a less powerful one for different purposes, economic purpose, political purpose, and socio-cultural purpose, to bring their own culture, their own way of life over them and making it and forcefully imposing it on them. That is the meaning of colonialism. Industrial Revolution of 19th century. So the European countries have gone far above other countries in the world in technology. So that's when they moved from agricultural system to industrialization, making of machines and creating of industry. So the search for raw materials, what they're going to use to convert those things to finished goods, to expand their market, brought them to Africa. So when they came, there were conflicts among them on how to rule Africa. So the Berlin Conference that took place in 1884 to 1885 solve that problem. They now partition, they divide Africa among themselves. Great Britain there are some places that were given to Great Britain in West Africa, which include Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, Gambia, and Sierra Leone, were given to Great Britain to rule. So in 1914, Lord Frederick Lugard amalgamated the Northern Protectorate and the Southern Protectorate. And his wife, Flora Shaw, called it Nigeria, meaning Niger area, an area that is surrounded by River Niger. So, and Lord Lugard was one that introduced indirect rule in Nigeria. You might find it in your examination, your objective, that who is the father of indirect rule in Nigeria? It is Lord Frederick Lugard. Indirect rule. What is indirect rule? Indirect rule may be defined as a system of government whereby British colonial administration used traditional rulers and existing political institutions to rule the local people. It could also be defined as a system of administration in which British colonial government adopted as its colonial policy in dealing with the people by using the traditional rulers, institutions, administration, culture, and judicial structure as intermediaries, while the British officials mainly advise and, where necessary, enforce colonial administration. It means ruling by traditional rulers, ruling by your people. That's the meaning of that. We are not the one, you are the owner of the government. This is an institution. So rule yourself, but we'll just be there to supervise what is going on, to make law if necessary. So they didn't break the system on ground. They didn't break the system on ground. They make use of it. They are not there to advise or to supervise what's going on. Moving on. Reasons for the introduction of or establishment or adoption of the system of indirect rule. Number one, lack of personnel. The British lack enough personnel, enough manpower. That was why they introduced that indirect rule system. Number two, inadequate fund. They were not adequately funded by the British government. So the need to have money to rule them directly was not there. That was the reason why they introduced indirect rule system, ruling the people by their traditional rulers. 3, is success in other countries. Indirect rule succeeded in some countries like Uganda, and India. So they saw that the other system succeeded in India. So they feel that if that system is brought to Nigeria, it's going to be successful. That was why they introduced that system of indirect rule to preserve traditions and customs. They don't want to tamper with our traditions, our customs. That's the reason why they introduced indirect rule, that you still continue with your tradition and custom. Who will just be there to supervise, to guide, to change some things, and to modernize everything in their own way, but they are still the one willing to preserve our tradition and custom. That was the reason why they introduced indirect rule. To involve traditional rulers. They want the traditional rulers to be fully involved in governance, because before they came, they've been traditional institution, administration in Nigeria and Africa as large. So to involve them, that was why they introduced indirect rule. It was not expensive to operate. Indirect rule was less expensive to operate because they don't really spend much. The people are still the one ruling. So there's no need to spending much on the administration. These are other examples or other factors why indirect rule was adopted in Nigeria. So let us look at, we have three major tribes in Nigeria, major tribes, Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. So let's look at the sources or partial sources of that system in those three regions. The first, factors or reasons that led to the success of indirect rule in northern Nigeria. One, the use of traditional administration. They make use of traditional administration. The emirs, they make use of them in the administration, which the people feel that they are not being sidelined, that the system is still favoring them. Two, the autocratic nature of the emirs. The emirs are autocratic because they believe anything they say is final, because they believe that anything, according to Islamic law, anything the emir says is final. It comes from God. So there's no need to change it. Anything it says is final because they believe that it comes from God. Religion. They practice just a single religion, that is Islam. They only have one religion in northern Nigeria, which is Islamic religion. So it makes the system so easy, indirect rule system to be very easy for them. Submissive of the people. The people are very submissive to their emirs, to their king. They are very submissive. That is one of the laws of Islam. You have to be submissive to your king. You must not criticize them. Criticism is not allowed. So anything they say is final. So these are other examples of this sources of indirect rule. Let's move to the sources of indirect rule in the partial sources. It was not fully successful in Western Nigeria. One, the limited power of the Oba. The Oba is limited. In the Yoruba, there's what we call checks and balances. Because there's the Alafin can be checked by the Oyomesi, the kingmakers, through the Bashonu. So there's limited power to it. Education. The Western Nigeria have gone far too in education. They've gone abroad to study. So they know that what this system of indirect rule is not good, which make it partially successful. Less submissive of the people. In the Yoruba practice, we can call it a democratic system whereby the people can demand for something. They can protest against any ruler. Religion. The Christianity, Yoruba, Western Nigeria has different religion. We have Christianity, we have Islam, we have traditional rulers. So because of that, and Christianity as a religion practice democratic, whereby you can challenge, you can ask questions on any rule, which makes it partially successful. These are other examples of the partial success of indirect rule in Western Nigeria. Factors or reasons that led to the partial success of indirect rule in Eastern Nigeria. One, absence of traditional rulers. The Igbo practice what we call acephalous, a system of government that has no central head. They have no central head. They practice a decentralized government, whereby each village have their own administration. So it makes it so difficult to rule them because they don't know who to meet. The overhead traditional ruler of the Igbo. So it makes it so difficult and not too successful. Two, religion. Christianity is the major religion in Eastern Nigeria. And the Christianity allows you to ask questions against any rulership that is against the people. They have the power to ask questions. That makes them to question that indirect rule when it was introduced to them. Appointment of warrant chiefs. The appointment of warrant chiefs, because they have no central head, the British colonial administration appoints warrant chiefs in each district. So, and these warrant chiefs are from them. It is a new system. Warrant chief is not part of their traditional rulers, traditional institution. So, which makes it less successful because they do not agree with that warrant chief of a thing. Type of political administration practice. They practice a decentralized administration or an encephalous administration that does not have a central head. So, to meet anybody for decision was made difficult. That was why it was partially successful. These are other factors that led to the partial success of indirect rule in the eastern Nigeria.
Acing your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
Revision questions. I hope you have learned one or two things very important in this topic. So let's look at the revision questions. Number 1, define colonialism. 2A, what is indirect rule? 2B, give 3 reasons why British policy of indirect rule was successful in northern Nigeria. These are the answers. Number 1 answer is this: define colonialism. Colonialism is defined as an imposition of a more developed culture over a less developed one, backed up by expansionist and economic adventurism. 2A, indirect rule. Define indirect rule. Indirect rule may be defined as a system of administration whereby British colonial administration used traditional rulers and existing political institutions to rule the local people. In 2B, we are told to state the factors that led to indirect rule. Number 1, lack of personnel. 2, inadequate fund. 3, its success in other countries. This is the end of today's interesting topic. If you have any question, inquiry, or anything you want to add, you can feel free to get across to us through our social media platform displayed on the screen. I hope you enjoyed today's topic. See you on that time. Thank you.